Hi, hello, and welcome to Lily's Library. So today we're going to be talking about my December and 2025 reads, kind of in general, as well as some of the books I would like to try and read in January, and my reading goals as well. So we've got a lot to get through, so we're just going to get straight into it. So in December, I ended up reading a total of 5 books, one of them being super long. So we're going to go through these in the order that I actually read them. So the first book was one I'd started in November, but I didn't end up finishing. So I decided to finish it in December, and that was Lady Susan by Jane Austen. I had a really decent time with this. This is a really unique book. It's told through different letters from different people and between different people. So we get different perspectives and different pieces of the story depending on who interacts with who and who sees what, which is a very interesting concept. But I think because of that, I kind of got a bit confused. And also because I took such a long break in between reading this book, I got like a decent way in and then I stopped reading it for a bit and then I continued, and it just did not help me because I forgot who a lot of the characters were. But this was still a really fun and entertaining read, a very solid 3 stars. I found it really entertaining. If you're nosy and love to gossip, I think you will really enjoy this because that's kind of what this book is. Next, I read my most disappointing book of the month, if not the year, and that was Mate by Ali Hazelwood. I really enjoyed Bride, so I was really disappointed that I didn't like this one. This is kind of like a standalone sequel to Bride. It follows some of the characters that we met in the first book, and the character we did meet in Bride, Serena, who is the main character's best friend, she was really good in Bride from what we saw of her, but I feel like a lot of what made her good just wasn't in this book, and they completely ruined her character. She just kind of had no real personality and was really whiny and kind of useless, which is not at all what she seemed to be like in the original book. Like, this whole dynamic between the 2 main characters was just that they were snarky towards each other, and I really just didn't enjoy it. The male love interest was a bit of a piece of shit as well. He was quite misogynistic at the beginning of the book, and that was never brought up. I also think the plot and the conflicts in this was just so nonsensical, and it was kind of just telling us and not showing us anything, and just none of it really made sense. So it was just a 2-star read. Like, I originally had rated it higher, but I brought that down a lot to 2 stars just because I didn't like it. I should have DNF'd it, to be completely honest. But yeah, it was something that got me through the month as well. It was something that it was kind of entertaining to hate read, especially since it was buddy read, so we could just talk shit about it. But it was just so disappointing. I've also got another romance. This is a very different romance though, and that is Heated Rivalry. This is by Rachel Reed. I actually started this on ebook and read it that way, and then the physical copies came out, so I decided to buy it. I bought it before I finished the book, and probably thinking back on it, I wouldn't have bought a physical copy, to be honest. I thought this was really fun. I really loved the TV show. I thought the TV show was phenomenal and so well done, and I loved the characters and the representation, and it was just beautiful. The book, on the other hand, I feel like it really fell flat in comparison. I think just the writing in this is very basic and very simple, which isn't a bad thing. It just didn't work for me. I just thought it's pretty fine. I thought there was honestly too much spice in the book. If there's such a thing, it just kind of didn't work. That was an issue I had with Mate as well. The spice just didn't really work in it. It felt like there was way too much, and I would have much rather focused on the characters, but I might be in the minority there. But I thought this was fine. Just the characters and the plot was a bit underdeveloped. But I thought this was fine. Just, I think that the TV show really expanded upon everything that we have in this book and really added a lot to it. I especially liked the changes they made in the last episode, which have to do when they get to the cottage. I thought that whole thing played out a lot better than it did in the book. But overall, this was still fun. Like, it was a 3.5 star, still really enjoyable. I'm definitely going to be reading Game Changer and then The Long Game. I just don't think I'm really interested in any of the other books in the series. If my library gets them, maybe I'll give one another go, but they just don't really intrigue me. Next up is the really chunky book, and that was Fool's Fate by Robin Hobb. This is book 3 in the Tawny Man trilogy, so it is the final book. This was a roller coaster ride of a book, as are a lot of Robin Hobb ones, but I really, really enjoyed this. This was 5 stars. It was phenomenal. Definitely the best book in this entire trilogy. Just everything that happens is so beautiful yet heartbreaking and unbelievable, and the ending is just so bittersweet. I really did enjoy this one, but it was just really heartbreaking at the same time, and I'm so sad to have this trilogy over now and to not have more with it, but we will be moving on to more books in the realm of the Elderlings. But I just really enjoyed this. I feel like I can't really talk a lot about it without spoiling things, but the way that kind of the Fool's prophecies come about in this, and it's really interesting, the dynamic between Fitz and the Fool, and seeing it expand in this. It was just beautiful. I loved it. Okay, and then the final book I ended up reading was Nana Volume 1. I thought this was fun. I think I'm going to rate it 3 stars. I'm still a bit undecided. I don't think it's my favorite manga I've ever read. I think it's just not what I expected going into it. I had a very basic understanding, and this really wasn't that, but I'd definitely be intrigued by seeing more from it, just maybe not the manga. I might just go with the anime instead, to be honest. But it was still a really fun and sweet manga. This is about 2 different girls called Nana, and the anime is kind of like that they meet on the way to Tokyo, but this is kind of, the manga itself focuses on them before they go to Tokyo, at least this volume, which I find really interesting. It is nice seeing that exploration of their characters and seeing the differences in their lives. I think I would like to, see more from it. Just I'm not sure if I would necessarily read more of the manga, but it was a fun and easy read to end the month on. But I was hoping to read one extra book before the end of the month, but just ended up not pressuring myself. I didn't really want to end the month by stressing myself out with reading, or end the year by stressing myself out with reading when I really wasn't feeling like rushing through a book or reading something short just for the sake of reaching a goal. But it is what it is. But that kind of brings me into my yearly totals for 2025. So I thought we'd talk about it. I've got some of my stats here from the Storygraph wrap up, which I'll put on the screen for you. But I read a total of 59 different books, which is pretty solid. I didn't really have a set number for my goal. Like ideally it would have been 52 a book a week, and I got over that, which is fun. And I like it. It's not as much as I've read in previous years, but I did move and start a new job and really haven't been dedicating as much time to reading as I have in previous years. So it makes sense that it's a lot lower. But I read, 59 books, which was a total of 23,118 pages, which is very solid. I'm very happy with that. My top genres for the year were fantasy, LGBTQIA+, romance, contemporary, and historical, which is interesting because I feel like historical has been climbing up for me in recent years, even though I always say I'm not the biggest fan. But I think that's because there's a crossover between historical fantasy and stuff and historical romance that I've been reading. Then my top authors were, surprise, surprise, Robin Hobb. I read 9 books from Hobb, I'm pretty sure, this year. We've also got Sumiko Arai, which is the author of The Guy She Was Interested In, Wasn't a Guy at All, who I read 3 volumes of manga from. And then I also read Ali Hazelwood. I read three books from her. I think we read, what did we read? We read Deep End, Mate, and Problematic Summer Romance. So 3 books from her. We've also got some other stats here. My first book I read was A Power Unbound by Freya Mask. My last was obviously Nana. My longest book was The Mad Ship, which is like just over 900 pages. And then my shortest was Hunchback, which is 90 something pages. So I think it was a very interesting reading year all around. But that kind of brings me into next year as well. So I think we'll go through my reading goals for the next year, and then we'll move on to my January TBR, because I'm trying to change things with TBRs in the next year. One of my Christmas presents this year was this little traveler's notebook, which you can put a bunch of different notebook inserts into. And one of my notebooks in here is going to be my 2026 media journal. Sorry, I just realized it's not going to focus, but this is where I'm going to write my reviews for books, movies, and TV shows. So it's kind of like any media that I consume, but I've written my goals for the year in here. So my first goal is to focus on reducing my physical TBR. I currently have more than 150 books on my physical TBR, and ideally I would like to get that down to 100 or below 100, but we'll see how we go. Like theoretically, it is achievable since I did read 59 books in 2025. I can theoretically do it again, but I'm also going to be getting more books. Like there is books that I need still to complete my Realm of the Elderlings sets. And I know there's some pre-orders or some new releases that I'm really looking forward to, and books in other series that I'm reading that I'll need to acquire. So I'll see how we go, but kind of lumped in with that first goal is that I want to be a bit stricter on DNFing. A lot of the books I do already own are ones that I know I will like, but if I'm not enjoying it, I'm just going to DNF it. If I'm struggling with it and it's just not working with my brain, I'm going to DNF it. Whether that's a permanent or a temporary thing, we'll find out in the future. But I want to be a bit better with that. Then my next goal is to finish the Realm of the Elderlings. I know this is going to be achievable. I set this as a goal in 2025, and I was definitely overestimating my abilities to read those long books, because we've got 3 900-page books in one trilogy alone, so it was never going to happen. I've only got 7 books left to read in the Realm of the Elderlings, plus like a little novella sort of short story if I do want to pick that up, so I think we definitely can do it. The next goal is to read 3 classics. Now this was a similar goal I had in 2025, and that was to read 4 classics. I've lowered it down to 3 just because I did not get that. I read 2 classics in 2025, but I am due to finish a classic in January, so I think I can aim for 3, especially since I keep buying some and I got some for Christmas. I just need to start reading them more, because I do enjoy some of the ones I read when I read them, but this is where the DNFing is going to come into play. If it's not working for my brain, I'm going to DNF it and move on. We'll just have to go with that. Then the next goal is to finish my 12 books in 12 months TBR. So I set this recently. You would have seen the video. Kind of selected books from different genres and also series that I want to continue and need to continue and read more of and hopefully finish and stuff. And yeah, I think it'll be really achievable this year. I'm trying to plan it out and think ahead head a bit more about them, and I think I should be able to do it. I'm just going to actually remind myself and remember to pick one each month. But yeah, that being said, we'll actually now move on to my January reads. So I'm unsure whether I'm going to be actually setting myself TBRs for each month during 2026. I think to a degree I will, especially when it comes to that 12 books in 12 months challenge, as well as some buddy reads I have planned. I think I do need to actually set those out and lay them out, otherwise I just will forget and not get to them. So we've kind of only got 4 or 5 books, maybe a few more in here because I've got some library holds coming through, but I'll show you the books that I'm going to be focusing on. So the first 2 books are my current read, and the first of that one is James Baldwin's Giovanni's Room. This is the classic I'm currently reading. I've only got 60 pages left of this. I would love to try and finish it today after I finish filming this, but we'll see how we go. Like, I don't want to be pressuring myself into reading it, but I definitely can get this done soon. It's not going to take me too much time, but this is set in 1950s Paris, and we follow a young American man named David who is waiting for his fiancée to return from a trip to Spain. And while he is waiting, he ends up meeting this man called Giovanni, and they kind of immediately not quite fall in love, but they've really got that, they're drawn into an intense affair, which is what it says in the back. And we kind of follow those 3 months when he is there, but it's kind of non-linear at the same time because we jump around a bit. The writing style isn't really working with me, so I am a bit confused, but it is very beautifully written. But we follow him through that affair, and then also once his fiancée is back, and then after his fiancée's gotten back, and other things in between, and like everything that happens in these 3 months that they're together. And I know this is really sad, and I can kind of see where it's going, but I won't say anything in case. But I'm really intrigued to finish this one off. I don't think it's going to be a favorite. Like I said, the writing style just really isn't working for me, but I'm still going to be reading this, and I think I'll still get something from it. Then my next current read, I was actually also hoping to finish before the end of 2025, but I just didn't dedicate any time to it. I haven't really been gravitating towards audiobooks, and I really didn't actually feel like picking up the proper physical book of it, and that is He Who Drowned the World by Shelley Parker Chan. I was listening to more of this today, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm really intrigued to see where it goes, so I will be continuing this in January and hopefully finishing it. I've got some more driving and trips to do in January, so like I'm going to Perth, and that's like a 5-hour flight, so maybe I can listen to some of it on there, but I will definitely be able to get it done. I would like to actually dedicate more time. I'm also trying to go on walks a bit more and walk to and from work, so that'll give me at least like 10-15 minutes like one way to listen to it. So I think this will be very achievable to finish in January. Then I've got 2 other books on my physical TBR that we'll be reading, and the first one is Dragon Keeper by Robin Hobb, which is book 1 in the Rainwild Chronicles. So this is the next series that my Farseer Readers book club is up to. If you would like to join and read along with us, we are just about to start this one, but I don't 100% know what this is about. I know it's obviously set in the Rainwilds, and it's set after the events of the 20 Man trilogy, because it's talking about how dragons have finally returned, and we're talking about how they're being guided by Tintaglia, which is one of the dragons, and she is helping guide the serpents and everything. I won't say too much more because if you are reading this will be spoilers, but I've heard mixed things about this series. I know a lot of people aren't the biggest fan, but I really love the Rainwild, so I'm really excited to see what else this book is going to be like and what this whole quartet is going to be like. Apparently, someone in my book club had said that these 4 books were originally meant to be a duology and that they were split apart, which I'm kind of thankful for because these are still on the longer side. They're all just over 500 pages, but it'll be nicer to have some shorter books from Robin Hobb. Then the final physical book I've got on my TBR is one from my 12 books in 12 months, and that is Buffalo Hunter by Stephen Graham Jones. I actually started reading the first few pages of this the other day, and it sounds really interesting, so I'm definitely going to be delving into this properly now that we're in January. I was contemplating continuing with it the other day when I was reading, but I just had attention span issues, so I didn't, and I know it would have made my reading experience worse if I forced it. But I'm very intrigued by this one. From what I understand, this is about Native American vampire hunters, and we start with our main character Etsy, who is an academic, and one day a journal is uncovered that is from her like great grandfather or something. It's found in like the walls of something, and she ends up getting sent the scanned copies of those pages, and I guess it's about what's in that journal. That's all I really know so far. It sounds really intriguing, and I've heard such incredible things, and I've been really wanting a horror, and I love Stephen Graham Jones writing, even though it can take me a bit to get into, so I'm really excited to get to this one. But the next books I'm planning on reading are all on my Kobo. So like I said, I've got a few library holds that are supposed to be coming through and a few other holds, and then there's a book on Kobo Plus that I'll be reading. So we might start with that one. That is The Surviving Sky. I'll see if I can get, this is by Kritika H. Rao, but this is going to be a jumbo buddy read with a bunch of my friends from TikTok. We're going to be reading through the entire trilogy, and it looks like the first 2 books are on Kobo Plus, and then I might just have to buy the 3rd one, which is honestly not too bad. I do not remember anything about what this series is. I remember hearing about it when it first released a few years back and being really intrigued, but I haven't seen anyone really read it, so I'm very intrigued to see how we go, but I'll be starting that one soon. So I should be getting in my hold of My Friends by Frederick Bachman. I've only read one book from Bachman, and that was A Man Called Uwe, and I personally wasn't a fan. I just really did not care for any of the characters or anything. I thought the writing was beautiful, but I just didn't like the book. I didn't like the way it made me feel. So I want to try him again, and I've heard really good things about My Friends. I don't know what it is, but it looks very summery, and since I'm going to Perth, this should come back in time for me to read it in Perth. So we'll see how we go. I'm very intrigued and excited to read this one. We've also got two other books that are coming through on holds. We've got Conspiracy Nation. This is exposing the dangerous world of Australian conspiracy theories and theorists. I remember seeing a few things about it a few months ago when it came out, and I've missed a few holds because I kept forgetting to pick it up or to download it and stuff. So I'm hopefully going to be getting this one and can hopefully get through it. I'd like to read more nonfiction, but I'm not setting myself a hard goal, so this could be one I read. I don't know too much more about it, but Australian conspiracy theories sounds interesting to me, especially with what's been going on in Australia in recent months. It is cooked, so I really need to read up more about things like this. Then the final book is Melaleuca, I think it is. It's a debut book. I'm not too sure what it's about. I can't remember, but some people I really trust on Instagram and TikTok had rave reviews for it, and I trust them with my life, so I want to give it a go. It sounds a bit outside of my comfort zone, but I'm really intrigued and I want to branch out a bit more in the next year. But I don't know if I'm going to get to all of those books, and I feel like I might end up missing out on a few holds as well. I also might just end up returning that sport romance, but we'll see how we go. But that is it for this week's video. Let me know what books you are planning on reading in January, or if there's any goals you've set for yourself for the year. But yeah, that's it. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye.